Da kopade goni lang de sa kwa na ang te da po ja ba sa ling ko mari me ni ke lang cho re kopade lang chan da po ko ja ko re wa ga ka kopade
My microphone on? My mic is off. It's on. So you're receiving the picture, the image of Yamantaka now, and Rinpoche is saying that that if you have not yet received one, then you should take one, and if you take one, then it's also important that you also take good care of it. So if you have many or you can't really take good care of it, then there is no need to take one. So if you take it, then please also take care of it.
다 주로도 봐 내가 소설에 마법 패를 참말라 토마토시 델릭쇼이 드니 주로 사파 내가 로바르 쇼바뇽이 같이 배우고 살았는 땅서.
So first I would like to greet all my Dharma friends who have come here from the different countries in the world. And if there is a Dharma friend among you who has not yet participated in one of those Drupchens, if that is your first time of joining the Drupchen, could you please raise your hand?
망보패도 사파 망보패도 빼야 보래. 드리사바 삼지다다 마마제 고나더니 사파님 바피스 로파시니 오토제 로마님 바탐체게 드니지 저로라 강시시 파도 빈수 조령야 보지 또 마마제 바드니 로마사니 로파체고.
So there are quite a few new disciples who are joining the Drupchen for the first time. And so that's actually excellent. And so if you are new to this, then please use this time that you have now until we go into silence. So for as long as you're still allowed to talk, it would be good if the newer disciples would maybe talk to the older disciples who have more experience with the Yamantaka Drupchen. And then the older disciples can maybe introduce you to how we conduct the Drupchen. So please use this time for as long as we are still allowed to talk, to discuss this with each other.
레드비 하고라들이 답에 주력이 되지하리. 드리테는 미력도 포르티네스니 랑게 체디라 드리 동행나만 하소 연구요 때인데 드리 동행 메주바 차 연구를 까들이 드리 다다게 지 뉴모 바테 문진네 드리 자다 동행 저 방식 바탕 내가 그 저저시반 디레들이 저럭탕지 내가 졌던 거예요. 너희 저뭐 두체네. 들이 뒤에랑 게 시키는 당연히 기바들라. 이 남발을 남서를 봐. 섬성 소탈을 어동해들 탈두고 놓지. 상천들 어동해를 탈기 저쪽부터들이 삼체리 삼속선데 오 대삼체리 삼체에 오늘 가리피는 상기에 덮거리 삼체 그 단디 매반도래 단디 매반 손들이 동해를 쫓고 그러나 잡소를 동해요 말이 차공도 동해요래 차공도 잡소는 쫓아래 뒤 시송들이 저렇게 뭐 이제 와고 그때 기체 뭐 그래 주로 탐지 전도들 도도 다투 제발 생각해 삼체 속고 그래 들 삼체들이 다 하다 뭐 보는 거요 삼체들 타고 생각 차요 들이 단지 있는 마다 도와를 차요 대하고 죽지고요 해서
So we are following the Buddhist path, which belongs to the different religions that exist in the world, and there are many different religions, but ultimately there's only two systems in the world. There is the mundane, worldly system that focuses only on this life, and then there is the spiritual, or the Dharma, the religious system, and that system focuses on future lives, that there is past lives and future lives, and it explains the workings of karma, cause and effect. And so if we only follow the worldly tradition, then even though we try to find happiness according to the worldly path, still in this life we encounter a lot of difficulties, much suffering, and that suffering often is unbearable. So when we understand the path of the Dharma, then now in this life we can learn to recognize the causes of that suffering, which is our own afflictive emotions. And we understand karma. And in this way we know how to avoid the causes of suffering and how to create the causes of happiness. The Buddhist path, the Dharma path, shows us the workings of cause and effect. And so once we understand that, as practitioners, we develop trust in that and then forbear all sorts of difficulties. So the Buddhist path consists of 3 levels. There's first the path of individual liberation, and here first we have a wish to become liberated from suffering. And then next, when we enter the Bodhisattva path, we recognize that the only cause of suffering is self-grasping. And the only way to free ourselves of suffering, therefore, is to cultivate love and compassion, a mind of bodhicitta. So when you realize that, you realize the true purpose of cultivating bodhicitta. When you cultivate bodhicitta, you can attain the state of Buddha, and self-grasping diminishes. When there is no more clinging to a self, you're free from suffering. For example, it is like the ocean water. The ocean does not experience any suffering, but the ice block experiences suffering. But actually, the ocean and the ice are essentially the same. And so when you understand that, then you will know how to connect your worldly ways with your Dharma practice, and that's really very important. And then ultimately, you achieve the ultimate fruition. So the actual blessing to be received is received only if you cultivate a mind of love and compassion. And it is also through love, with a mind of love, that we engage the practice of the deity and recite the mantra and so forth. And it is from love that all the Pure Lands manifest. For as long as there is self-clinging in the mind, from that only the impure states of the 6 realms of samsara can manifest. So that's an important point to clearly understand.
다다 상하들이 다다 무슨 라공 거요래. 라지 강이 종아리 되네더니 라지도 상속 셈데 산축 셈데 체가 지를 계속 찾았더니 나매 봐 차도 그래 자그럼도 저서 잡지 저도 쭉 차도 그래 잡도 같이 치나 저도 쭉마도 요 말이지 잡소로 강해 요 말이 이 셈지 담지라서 남미지 왕지 셈지 담지 자그럼 차야 되나 이 자그럼 때 셔가 탈라지 강해졌다 삼지고 요래 삼지 저런 게 나도 통야요 말이지 먹은 통야면 셈지 봤더니 다다다 좋아 저거 계속 속과시는 람상 생마디와 차인 거예요. 다지 나한테 되는 통야매 봤대. 동물들이 상하되는데 나중에도 요 말이지. 셈은 나진이 요 말이지. sem고 나카라를 나진이 매나 들이세도 나카라고 대하고서는 들이sem기 담지 상계에서 sem기는 상계. 들이때 마음이 바가는 자공을 변은 매도 사വും 마음이 봐. 매는 매도래. 그 때문에 차로 마음이 바가는 차로를 매는 쳐 잠소리 대도 하고는 돈 스납 시바들 다 나고 추 가려나 고대 가려나들이 고박 사와나 대화가 쭉부터 이렇게 삼세리 또 대사는 것도 대라게 줄을 내버 탑라 들이 라탐제 삼지랑서 그래 들이 공탐제 로바봉 거서 탐제 셈 세가지 라고 세가지 요래 세대지 좀도 요래 변 차로가 지체 봐 대로 있는 들이고 속 삼지도 라고 삼지로 과자고 요래 대자위신들이 다다 왕들 민지 왕지 마음이 비심진다 메바지 왕지 그때 류아이서 메바지 브라티 르라티 나가 다 신들이 사족습지 조사족습지 인피를 로티 진제지 제가대 용고요래 류아이 쓰면 신소리 들이 뒤근들이 강시시 초가들이 얼마탐지야 강시시 로도 또 가양 머신들이 yin pingo santi tata 여기 홍대 요래 홍대 루메지 섬 상제가 남진에 홍대 셉도 어디가 somba 이 상제 탐지가 대식 정보 라는 데 somba에 디기네 tata 왕글로 지세 자 로마 편으로 가고 제거래 그냥 때는 기자시 주고 가만 보여서 다 반냐 민조래 죽죽이 됐어 상제래 체매가 이제
And so according to the Vajrayana path of secret mantra, we meditate on the deity, we practice the deity. And so first we need to understand the deity. Where does the deity actually come from? The deity arises from the mind of bodhicitta. And when this is immeasurable, this boundless state of love arises within you, then self-grasping naturally diminishes. And that really is the deity. That is how the ice block is melting. So when it is melted, it becomes vast ocean water. But actually, at all times, ice and water are the same. So the greater you love, the more the ice melts. And in the end, there's only water. And there's only one expanse, a vastness of water. And within that, water experiences no difficulty. So now we are receiving a ripening empowerment. And so sentient being's mind, we have said, is like an ice block. And the method to melt the ice block is love and compassion. And that melts the ice block of this concept of a self. So this concept of a self is something that we cannot see with our eyes. It is a fixation within the mind, a feeling that arises. For example, when somebody insults you, says something really negative to you, immediately you feel very uncomfortable. So that is the self-grasping. That is when it arises. It is just that we can't see it like a thing. And so according to the Vajrayana, it is said that we believe in a self, but in reality, there is no self. It doesn't exist. There is no self and there is no other. And when there is no self and other, the mind abides just like space. When you understand that, you can understand that all sentient beings are actually Buddhas. So in an immature, unripe state, the mind of sentient beings is like ice, or it is like the seed of a flower. And when it ripens in its mature state, the seed then is a flower, becomes a flower. Or in its mature state, the ice block becomes water. So in the Buddhist path, we are receiving blessings, so-called blessings. And what that really actually means, that has to be clearly understood. And it has to be understood in the context of Buddhist practice, but actually in any context of any activity that we engage in the world or in practice, in samsara or nirvana. What we call this so-called blessing, that is the only cause of happiness, and that is love and nothing else. So therefore, Buddhist practice is all and only about having love arise in your mind and having it stay in your mind. So it's a method for that to happen. And therefore also the deity that we practice is a manifestation of love. And for us practitioners, we also have that. So half of our mind, part of our mind, actually already is the deity in a sense because we possess Buddha nature. It's just that the mind temporarily is in this ice-like state, but still the nature of ice is water. So we practice the deity so that the deity helps us cultivate love with the deity's great love. So we are receiving this ripening empowerment to ripen sentient beings who are unripe, who are immature, to ripen their body, speech, and mind. And to ripen the body, we visualize the form of the deity. To ripen the speech, we recite the deity's mantra. And to ripen the mind, we must cultivate bodhicitta. And that's really most important. It is to cultivate an altruistic mind that wishes to benefit others. And that actually is the result. In the end, that is what we need to get. We need to develop an altruistic mind. So of the body, speech, and mind, the mind is most important. And with that knowledge as a basis, then you begin to engage in practice and you train in the different levels of the path, of the sadhana, as well as you can. But even if you don't know much, it is actually most important to just have that wish to benefit others. And as a support for your practice, your visualization, you are given an image of the Hung syllable inside the fire flame. And so this fire flame, this warmth, represents the mind of love and compassion. And the Hung represents the nature of emptiness. It represents Buddha nature, the mind of all the Buddhas. So we come next to the history of the empowerment. And again, I really encourage you, disciples, to help each other, to really take the opportunity to support each other in the practice. So now, during the retreat, we will keep the teachings also brief because the practice is most important here. But so again, the essence of all this practice that we are doing here, what we are actually practicing here, what we are accomplishing here, is love. It is the four immeasurables.
아주 가르쳐가지고 다 상하지 만들라 신지 라타본다 다 sabjela 고마 섭박 강요를 되는 타마밖에 주자가 되는 동박 가래나 되니 당자 뉴지디 다 자고들 들이베 망고시 영을 자고 탐질 되니 다심 첨보 요구한다고 차요래 디 동시 맞도 자고들 강그 자고지 그리 자고 배수 핀지 서나 랑그 차도 인지 해당 teles들이 동에서 온 거리 매 되게 가자 되게 생주의 대식 정보리 생주 중에 되는 유모 봐 요말 로벌 붙이는 게 유모 봐도 좋아도 속차 차고 무슨 뛰어나다 좀에 봐나다 줄 나지용의 유모 봐라 이거리 그 유모 봐 저기 특발이 근데 카크 다 잡아라고 요리 옛날 동나 라지 탐지가 유모 봐 문제 삭발되더니 랑그 세당도 타도 진정의 성띠고로 싸웠다는 들이들 잡을 걸지 티 유모 봐도 참아되더니 차도 차 전에들이 다다 들사 시바탐지 맨로를 들이 대탑지 이시대 매그란지 이용 같은 이메바 들이 뭐 실인조 송데 들사탐지 되게 오사 라사지 수송자다 대라고 싸운 거리네 대로 오 다다 잔이 차당랑 뭐가사다 대다로 잔이 차당지 그거 말이 되게 랑 pengi 오면 내고 요래 유모버티 랑지 탐지 유모 당고라고 유모 땡운지네 대는 자고 생긴 사람들 누가 당고 요래 제가 되는 게 자꾸 유모 탐지 나발을 들 잡고 있는지 다 대라서 와탐들 전에 대 탐지 잔다 삼아 라초다 이게 사송제 디목샤 도차차 세상으로 봤을 때 심지 유모 보면은 심지 섭지 대칭이 못 담아서 장래 이제 심지 삼지 사제에 로버가 유모 봤을 때 참았더니 잠체다 책을 하다 버려 책도 좀 가까이와 되고 가고 요래 대 동마시더니 라차고 럽시요 말들이 놓고 요래 대고 같이는 라차고 가려나더니 대시소들이 라초고 또다 하고 요래
So there's one very important thing that you surely have to understand in this specific practice of a wrathful deity belonging to the Vajrayana. Yamantaka is a very fierce, wrathful deity. There's many other wrathful deities. And there is one thing about those wrathful deities, often that ordinary people have a hard time understanding. And that is that in the context of the wrathful deity practice, there is a certain terminology speaking about the enemies and obstructors and those who do harm, and they are summoned and annihilated and so forth. And so these terms of enemy and obstructor and so on come up a lot, and when we bring an enemy to mind, then ordinary people would develop a resentment, an aggressive or angry mind towards them. And that is a sign of not really understanding the meaning of this practice, the wrathful deity practice. So when we speak about the so-called enemy, what are we really talking about? It refers to one's own afflictive emotions, in particular one's own jealousy and the hatred, the anger in others. And it is especially those afflictions of anger and jealousy that create a lot of suffering for oneself and also others. Actually, all beings possess Buddha nature. And Buddha nature is actually never defiled by any afflictions. There are no afflictions in Buddha nature. So those afflictions are only like temporary conditions. And all beings have it. There is those beings with a body, very small animals, for example, like even bacteria, or even beings without a body. They all have this sense of a self, an I, self-grasping, and therefore naturally the 6 afflictive emotions are present in their minds. And they are all the same. So even though we are speaking about so-called enemies, we really have to understand what is meant by that. What is meant by that are the afflictive emotions of oneself and others, and especially of oneself. So when these terms come up, you should bring to mind your own anger, your own jealousy, and reflect upon how these afflictions are the causes for taking birth in the 3 lower realms. So you bring to mind all of these afflictions, and then you transform them into flesh, blood, and bones, and then they are consumed by the wisdom fire of the wrathful deity. Primordial wisdom is like fire by nature. And actually, afflictive emotions do not inherently exist. And with that knowledge, you are transforming the afflictions into primordial wisdom. So then you think that you're making this offering of flesh, blood, and bones of the afflictions to the deity, and the deity is eating the afflictions of oneself and all sentient beings. So that's a very important point, because when we come across these words, these terms, then you clearly, definitely should not think about someone that you don't like, for example, or some kind of enemy, or someone who is harming you, and so on. That would not be a correct motivation here. When you think about it in that way, then there is no benefit in your own practice, and also it can cause a lot of harm. So what we're talking about here when we speak about enemies are the afflictive emotions of others and oneself. And first, we need to recognize our own afflictive emotions. And it is that enemy of one's own affliction that causes a lot of harm towards all sentient beings. So think that all of these afflictive emotions of others and oneself, in general, like all of the afflictions of all beings, they take on the form of those enemies and obstructors, but really they are afflictions. And then they are offered to the wrathful deity who eats them, and then they are eliminated. So we are offering those afflictions in a form of flesh, blood, and bones. Ignorance is related to flesh. Attachment is related to blood, and anger or hatred is related to bones. And when there are no afflictive emotions in the mind of sentient beings, so having offered that, you think that there is no more afflictions. And when there are no more afflictions, then all sentient beings possess Buddha nature. And that is all that then remains. And that nature is completely pure. So by nature, all beings are actually Buddhas. And we engage in practice in order to purify these temporary afflictive emotions. So it's very important to really understand the meaning of these words and to not take these words literal. Because if we take them literal, then we run into a lot of difficulties and we don't really understand the meaning. Then it's hard to really understand what is meant here. And then even if we practice a deity, we don't really know how to properly practice it. So in order to practice a wrathful deity in an authentic way, it's of crucial importance to understand this point.
Trinidad loju yore lo takwa loko yore de loju na hin hindu une kokwa kani de tu semje sanje tamche chinte tikda di basele yishires shirab de menture ti ranso ko jabe yang res 다 산이자 초가노 될라 연구요래 진 자발 진제데 자베 양들들 지수지 산제 산제 시락되고 요래스 때다 딱 가와요 때 소소 줄라 요래 대응없이 거래 대 총총 요래 강이 대 강이 다다 너무 뭐데 제비 변 자산 이건 대 자른 니 상고 요래 다좀 시달란 거야 다티 모르테 다티 전적을 사들 다 똑바로 줘도 똑바로 잡으러 전적을 저기 대시 오면 오 찐은 뭐 저러면은 선 대시 뭐 코랑티 사제랑 이식이랑 이베들은 들어왔다는 요 말이 로벌 그 찐이 뉴모 말이지 소소는 뉴모 말아지 뉴모 같이 뉴모 어디 쪽에 저 오신 신기 다 대응 오시들이 잡으면 오랑 샘는 거 같아 아 거래 저 대지로 오 파밀 세상은 오 세상지 중에서 세상 쳤다시나 다 드리는 잡으면 그냥 오시요래 로지는 동다 대리 님바 요 말이 그래서 로지스를 물어봤지 드리다가 또 랑게 생각나는 잡아야 시선 봤어 디 시랍 대리 주습주 사지에 담지게 진짜 봐 대리인데 주습주 사지에 담지 시랍도 팔아서 말이 올려서 갖다 잡아 담지 진바가 송도래 디 시랍이 뭐 마법 하고 디 시랍도 가와요 그래서 라주를 라주를 가래리 세상 오신기 내 뉴문벌이 세상 가까운 오신기 대리 락과요 대 오실 때기 바로 버들이 마딘 랑게 뉴문 받대 매버터 대 라레서 뒤말 랑게 세상 자오 마틀라스 랑게 뉴문 받 랑게 되나 랑게 탐제 뉴문 받 탁고요래 대들들이 타와 들들이 뉴문 받대 다들 나지 타요 나지 타르더니 저런 데 장소를 잡지 차로요래 내가 로지 내가 은혜 대래 내가 로지 물어 어째
So actually, the history of this empowerment is actually quite long, and we are reading it every year. So therefore, and this year we are not going to read it, but actually there's just really one essence to the whole historical background of this empowerment. And the essence of the history is that all the Buddhas of the 3 times, they all are included within this mind of primordial wisdom. The qualities of omniscient wisdom, compassion, loving compassion, and the power to grant protection. So they all have this one mind of primordial wisdom, a wisdom mind that is given different names. And the manifestation of wisdom is Manjushri. And that is also explained in the sadhana that we will read later. So this primordial wisdom, that is the mind of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. And where is that now? It is actually in your own mind. So that is what needs to be recognized. You need to recognize your own wisdom awareness, Manjushri in your own mind. Right now, your own awareness is very limited. When afflictive emotions arise, what happens is that we make a difference. We discern between, for example, enemies and friends. And we think that this is an enemy, this is a friend. And then we get angry at our enemy. But when you really think about the nature of this enemy, it is actually always changing. Sometimes beings are your friends, sometimes they are your enemies. Nothing ever stays the same. It is always changing. It is changing due to the temporary condition of the afflictive emotion. That is why it is changing. But Buddha nature, meanwhile, remains ever unchanging. It never changes. And that Buddha nature is the nature of all the Buddhas. It is primordial wisdom. And the afflictive emotions are only a temporary condition. So to recognize your own wisdom mind, you have to first recognize your own afflictive emotion and the fault in these afflictions. And this clear awareness, your own mind, that is actually the mind of Manjushri. For example, when you get angry at someone, then instantly recognize, oh, I'm being angry, and that is a fault. And you clearly see that. And that is actually Manjushri. Since we have read the history many times, we are not going to read it. And anyways, this is really the essence of the history. It is to recognize that Manjushri is the wisdom aspect of your own mind. And within that mind, all the Buddhas of the 3 times are complete. Their qualities of omniscience, of love, and of power are complete. And in brief, they are complete within the perfection of wisdom. The other day, His Holiness the Dalai Lama was giving teachings on that, speaking about the perfection of wisdom and the Heart Sutra that many of you might have read. And so what we need to recognize here is this clear awareness, this wisdom awareness is within your own mind. And it is the mind that recognizes, first of all, the afflictive emotions. You clearly recognize each and every afflictive emotion, anger and so forth. So you are not actually focused on the trigger, like the person, the other person, but you're looking at your own afflictive emotion. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, unless you tame the enemy of your own hatred, outer enemies will only increase. So we need to tame our own afflictions, and if you tame your own afflictions, then actually you are assisting the taming of the afflictions of all sentient beings. And then they become liberated. That is liberation. To become liberated, we must become liberated from our afflictions. And in order to become liberated from the afflictions, we must become liberated from self-grasping. And then it is like the ice block is melting into all-pervasive water. So that is the essence really of the historical background of this empowerment. So therefore, we won't read it this year.
Om Beda Zato Samaya Mane Balaya Beda Zato Tinopa Tita Tiro Beba Va Sada Kayo Beba Sube Chayo Beba Va Adarato Beba Sava Sede Beba Yesa Sava Gama Sada Tutam Jiyam Ha Ha O Maga Yu Sava Sava Kada Beda Mame Meda Beda Samaya Zato Om Sava Tata Kada Bekeka Samaya Kireye Om Kala Rava Yamarada Hong Pai Om Sava Vajada Sava Mya Sava Chuda Toma Jada Jada Toma Kanya Om Sava Rinpoche No Jaja Java No Jada Oma Ode Java Sava Toma Kada Sava Posum Toma the Jingata Tiba Jatu Jatu Jabo Jara Nama Sava Tata Kada Awalo Kada Om Sambara Sambara Om Toma Sava Awalo Kada Om Sambara Sambara Om Toma Sava Tata Kada Awalo Kada Om Sambara Sambara Kasi Sambo Joya Jumano Na Jada Tata Samji Namana Tata Jiyankiva Sole Tata Tela Tela Tomana Zawa Shikana Mutana Taji Juma Woya Jumana Yakuta Nipa Samba Jawata Samji Nana Pimpa Sam Terensi Jijiba Jiji Jiji Tana Chichu Tena Taji Yanata Sama Juma Juma Kola Juma Gana Kyoto Tayo Tauti Ate Samji Mujo Kaya Meya Sola Sola Kola Tiyo Lagana Lapena Yila Nopa Ma Te Jom Chempo Chonga Katape Lula Gomba Luzipe Neta Sonjo Donjo Rangane Tata Sawa Bada Tata Ke Sa Meo Musumana Sumali Oja Ala Ala Hoba Kaya Mea Zaya Hongkong Java Chiji Chiyu Chupa Toko Chodo Ye Rejo Choja Naka Chupa Chupa Pananga Sejo Chojo Sajiga Guji Joa Jun Chojo Ea Choda Yameta Kara Chupansa Mamo Eka Tadini Jima Tani Da Namkada Yambe Simchi Tamchi Koba Tonga Nego Bati Zate Da Tisana Tani Kajini Meda Pajade Penda Tata Nyumubate Jula Chena Koke Ngala Nipa Tangsana Tiri Nyumubate Men Yumando Yore Ngati Tati Data Nganya Chiwari Tela Tili Tili Pacha Tama Yoko Yore Nga Mele Shera Tili Oh, the Nyumubate Da Nyumubate Junchi Bore Sam Deshibatri Shabre Numonga Shiji Chepartation Dandi Dikatani Tata was all Chatang Damin Joy Chadi Yore Tela Sanujit Drangmeba Naki Simchi Drangmeba Samji Danding Watchwari, they tamjit in Yam the Buku Yose, Namkaka Sanjela, Sajikame, something tamjit Dandi the Apu, you said something to the mouth of songs, the Tonga Sweet, the Mirabu.
The root of all suffering of all sentient beings, limitless as space in samsara, is this belief in a self. And that is why we always offer a mandala. For example, when you are in an afflicted state of mind, then you might think that this person is harming me. And when you think in this way, when you see it in this way, then the affliction blazes like fire within you. So there is this I, this self that arises. So the I and the self is the same. And it is because of that I, that self, that we cling to, that we create all sorts of habitual imprints. And so with wisdom, with awareness, you recognize that there is actually no I, and that the afflictive emotions are your only and greatest enemy. So the awareness that clearly sees that is what we call wisdom. And that's the difference between wisdom and the afflictions. Or it is like the difference between clear water and muddy water. So you bring to mind the entire limitless outer universe and all of the sentient beings within the universe. You are gathering all of their self-grasping into one and think that you're offering it all up to the Buddhas abiding in space before you. So you're offering up all the self-grasping of all the sentient beings, and having made this offering, in return, think that the Buddhas then grant you and all their love and their compassion. So that's actually the greatest kind of business deal that we can strike with the Buddhas. And so that is the meaning of mandala offering. So when we are making the mandala offering, we think that all the Buddhas of the 10 directions and 3 times appear before us in space, and they love all sentient beings just like a mother loves her child, her only child. And so when the child cries, then immediately the mother is overcome with unbearable love and compassion. And likewise, when we supplicate to the Buddhas, then instantly they appear before us like clouds in the sky. So think that the deities, principally Manjushri, Yamantaka, then appear. And that in their presence we are taking refuge, and we are taking various commitments that we are going to repeat.
Namo Lama Jambar Tseyida Tunde Nezong Yishi Sembergo Matop Barde Sansar Jabsenji Korwe Dongha Tamji Dorwarcho.
In English, Namo, Guru, Manjushri, Lord of Life, henceforth and until I have accomplished the form of the wisdom being, I pay homage and take refuge. May I liberate all beings from the suffering of samsara.
다 이시선박거 이시선박가리 내 뉴모바리 내 기와리 내 무기와리 신기 시바티 다 이시레.
So here we just said the form of the wisdom being. So what is the wisdom being? Wisdom knows clearly. It is the clear awareness that knows this is a virtuous thought, this is a non-virtuous thought. Each and every afflictive emotion, that is wisdom.
Jambar Dorje La Sopa Sepje Sangje No Jarwa Kortangje Malu Dala Gong Se Sor Dane Drove, Donji Sir, Do some Gombu, Kangze Ba, Zongze, Dagi, Zongwarji, Trama, Charwe, Chim Tang, Chu Nam, Yongdu, Gewa Tang, Sim Jin, Dong Si, Nam Ba Sim, Dagi, Yong Se, Zongwarji, Magar, Wanam, Dagi Dar, Devjin, Mador, Wanam Dor, Wokma, Simba, Wok Yongcheng, Simjin, Tamji, Nyangi, De La Go, Jambar, Goyi, Tam Sek De, Gun Cho, Sum Zong, Me Dang Go, Jambar, Song Ge, Tam Sek De, Tek Ba, Sum Bo, Ma Nyam Zong, Jambar, Jambar, Tokji, Tam Sek De, Dorji, Jervu, Saja Zong, Jambar, Yongzin, Tam Sek De, Du Chok, Jimba, Nam Ye Jin, Jambar, Chen Le, Tam Sek De, Se Nang, Sang Wei, Chu Ba Sa, Jambar, Tam Ji, Du Ba Ye, Lo Pong, Da Jiang, Zong War Ji, Bomba, Gun Dang, Yang Da Bin, Ju Gun, Yong Se, Zong War Ji.
In English, Manju Vajra, and so forth, Buddhas and your retinue, all without exception, please consider me. In order to benefit beings, I will remember the purpose of all Buddhas of the 3 times. I will practice the 3 kinds of discipline of observing flawless ethical conduct, of gathering virtue, and of benefiting sentient beings. I shall liberate those who are not liberated. Likewise, I shall deliver those not released. I shall give breath to those without breath. I shall establish all beings in the state of nirvana. As for the samaya of Manjushri's form, I shall never forsake and practice in accordance with the 3 jewels. As for the samaya of Manjushri's speech, I shall perfectly uphold the 3 vehicles. As for the samaya of Manjushri's mind, I shall maintain the mudra of Vajra and Bell. As for the samaya of Manjushri's qualities, I shall practice the 4 types of generosity throughout the 6 periods of day and night. As for the samaya of Manjushri's activities, I shall make outer, inner, and secret offerings I shall practice in accordance with the masters whose nature is equal to Manjushri. I shall perfectly maintain all the vows that I have taken. I shall practice all the tantras perfectly.
그런데 다 책방으로 저 동디나 가네. 이런 노바 차와서야 뭐 동지. 다른 가린 내봐요. 다른 데리 이는 판 내봤던 왔다. 노바 차라 가래 땅은 정탈랑 철용을 잡을래도 해지 파 노바 땅 철용을 때 가래서는 동당군이 나지니 요 말이 나그 상하고 수알지 차대 지금 상지기 이는 핀이 따라랑 핀 그래 핀 같이 따라랑 내가 터고 그래 동당은 님에 빼나 나우라 관치께는 나우라 핀이 빼세다 동당군이 님에 왜 저게 하당 타뇨 차대 그래서 뭐 뒤에는 다른 누가 차보다 제목고 피마 총총을 접고 저 뒤로 다 있게는 이제 참아지고요.
So even though there were a lot of words here, maybe some of them difficult to understand, but we can actually summarize it all into just one essential meaning here in terms of those commitments. And that is that you should take a commitment thinking that I am not going to cause even the slightest harm towards others. And so how do we cause even the slightest harm towards others? So, and what happens then? Now, in the context of the relative, we see a duality of self and other. And whatever harm we inflict upon others, whether it is coarse or subtle, in the end, it will all ripen back upon oneself. It will all come back to oneself. All the suffering in this world is like that. And why is that? It is because ultimately self and other are inseparable. So therefore, if you are harming others, you are actually harming yourself. It is like you're eating your own flesh, actually. And therefore, the Buddhas have said, do not cause harm towards others. Help them. If you help others, you are really actually helping yourself because there are no self and other. For example, it is like when you're taking good care of your hand, then you're really helping yourself. If you're hurting your hand, you're hurting yourself. So ultimately, self and other are indivisible. And because of that, karma is actually very close. What we do to others, we are actually doing to ourselves. And so for this reason, with that in mind, knowing this, you should make a firm decision thinking that I am not going to cause even the slightest harm towards others. And I am going to help them even in the most, even in the slightest way. So that's really the essence of all these commitments. So then think that in the space before you is that a deity, Manjushri Yamantaka. You have received an image. So just like that, just very large, filling up the entire space. And think that all the Buddhas of the 3 times are also present in the form, in essence, Manjushri Yamantaka. And think that in their presence you are receiving this empowerment. Then think that this Dharma here represents the mandala, and from this mandala light rays radiate and fill up the entire universe. So think that in their presence you are offering supplications.
태인나 엘레 각부 자리에서 신제 Cholang, Zibe, Din Teng To, Jambar, Yami, Taka, Shinji, Shi Po, Chowo, Chekpe, Korchi Kor, Shinji, Shibu, La Tola, Sowan De, Dala, Wanker, Sinji, Labdazol. Lama da toma, Jambarki, Atonga, and Nambaki, Down just the Jupala, Shibawa, the Ona Soba, Jadasan. Soba da Tomangale Ale da the days of Yonsa Jabala Roman Java. System of the judges, Hanima, Shirabja, what is the Yumbe, Abale. You are talking the Mandamanji, the Kati, what you went in the Jiraja Parados about what the much of the Jitomo Joga Rinpoche, Jimba. Shichin Zambe, Langdang, Dinjong, Rappers, Rinkodang, Zimbe, Tower, Onkomodiba, Amabo, took a Hongo Benziba, Nesumji, was a down, just go home, was a Ram Yin, Talk Bao, Womi, Chuji, Young Japan, Tamani, Jabachi, Young Single. Don't we got Chivar, Raptor, Chunga, King, Tamba, Bayota, the Loma Lila, going on a song, you talking to La Kawa, Baba, now because I thought of Jenny, got Chivar, Raptor, Chunga, saying something. Tamjil Thompson, one, take the same mind about the Gomja Gores. I thought I'm just among the Patani. Tinitini, Jason, Shabapa, Jata, Yama Chapara, Maur Bessie, and anything, Tamjil Thompson.
So I think that the deities, the gathering of deities in space, are amassing like clouds, and some of them are as large as a mountain, and some are very small. And they all descend down, and they dissolve into the entire universe and all sentient beings. So in the form of like a rainbow light and little rainbow spheres and so on. They all dissolve into the universe and all beings and focus on just that single-pointedly and without any distraction. So first we are visualizing yellow Manjushri, and the seed syllable is the yellow D here in the rainbow sphere. There's also a tanka of Manjushri, and that is the cause. It is that Manjushri is the cause, which is actually your own Buddha nature. It's the cause. And the result is that when that cause matures, it ripens, then it transforms into the wrathful deity. So for now, it is enough if you just visualize the yellow D syllable, like the sun, and also hold in your hands the image of the deity Yamantaka that you have received. Close your eyes, visualize the yellow D, and then later when you're asked to open your eyes, at once look at the image of wrathful Yamantaka and think that in that moment then the Manjushri, the peaceful form, has transformed into the wrathful Yamantaka.
Atrodaka Yamantaka Sita Mahatroda Avishaya Jalamedala Avishaya Hongunte Batana Tata Jabashini Yokoja Chido, Omeki, Tana Bariki, and Babaja Potaja Changi, Data Yesinji, the Sujula Netijazo, you know, Mama Tamijazo, the Yamara Tangoji, Kotajada, Mojazo, Rosodana, Mojazo, Koji, Bato, Koya Sanjala Dosora, Lula Sneaker, Luja, Dosora, Koramaja, Tayango, so goes the Jala Dosora, Agadaba Dosor, Alani Baba, the Sor, Alani Baba, the Sor, Hong was so good or Hong took us a Jala Dosor, send the Baja. Several Baba Dosor, send the Baja Dosor, took me the Atrodaka Yamantaka Sita Mahatroda Jana Avishaya Papa Jinja, Joy Jambara, the Shiji, Kosawa, Tashin Kobarta, Talans, took a dirty home your songs. Three round Shiji, that dreaming young, there's a flower, there's Tayang Tang, the Tari, there's the home the Majiba, there's Tani something. 그 가비나다 홍대마지를 사마지바 연구요래 사트인 거고요래 홍대마지바 제거래.
So now open your eyes and look at once at the picture of Yamantaka and think that the D has transformed into a Hong and you have transformed into Yamantaka. Or you can just visualize the Hong syllable inside the fire flame. That is more easy to visualize. So just look at this image again and again throughout the Drupchen. And most importantly, do not forget about the Hong from now on and throughout the retreat. If the Hong remains in your mind, then also the deity remains in your mind. At this point, it is difficult to visualize the entire form of the deity. So just focus on the Hong. So in general, the meditation on the Hong syllable is actually the same benefit as meditating on all the Buddhas of the 3 times together. So for the next visualization, visualize the Dharma as the fivefold Yamantaka deity from the white at the forehead of the principal deity Yamantaka. Inconceivable white light and white wrathful ones stream out, dissolve into your forehead, and fill your body with white light.
Papira Draguna, the Tameta Dog, Law, Sayum, Dongbu, Jog, Dog, Go, Papeta Draguna, there were Tommy, then there were the one law, Dog, the squander to run away. Would you go to the Lashisha, the Tabacalo, the Marriage, the word of the Dong Raktasoro, such a day word, couple of Mabona, George, John, sure as the giant on your side, to major body or the Louis Sodamon, Sujano, Papa, the Dodger, the Sam, Geoponia, Dalaji, Bubaka, anything at the dollar to the CJ. One go, yes, it was I one body the Jokosangwa, Dojim, the Kodak, the Nasa Jokosiba, Koya, the Omegin, Ekayamata, the Kaya begins. Just on the just on that on so Mamma Tramming Masoy, the Alio Zermapotrus, the Alio Zerma.
So then think that your body becomes is transformed into a rainbow light body. And next, visualize the Dharma as Mamo Changmima. From the red A at her throat, inconceivable red light and red small wrathful ones stream out, dissolve into your throat, and fill your throat chakra with red light. The Dharma touching your throat, when the Dharma touches the throat, this indicates the blessings received.
Partido de Song Chawado Jema de Sola de Dasa de Sudi, Sugudu Ayang Jin, Hikayamato Rata, Waga Began Waga Began, I began the home. Top. Jambashi just on the bar, one song of the Mariba song. I don't do the work on the book about the sauce.
So before, with the white light, it says you have received through this empowerment, the obscurations of the body are purified, and you have received the vase empowerment. You are empowered to visualize your body in the form of Manjushri Yamantaka and should keep all samayas of form. A fortunate karmic connection with the state of the Nirmanakaya is established within you. And then second, for the red light, having received this empowerment, the obscurations of speech are purified, and you have received the secret empowerment. You are empowered to practice the enlightened speech of Manjushri Yamantaka and should keep all samayas of speech. A fortunate karmic connection with the state of the Sambhogakaya is established within you. And then visualize the Dharma as the supreme sun, Yamaraja. From the blue hung at his heart, inconceivable blue light and inconceivable small wrathful ones stream out, dissolve into your heart, and fill up your heart chakra with blue light. So then, having received this empowerment, the obscurations of mind are purified, and you have received the wisdom, awareness, empowerment. Your mind is empowered to practice the enlightened mind of Manjushri Yamantaka, and you should keep all samayas of mind. A fortunate karmic connection with the state of the Dharmakaya is established within you. And so to represent the mind empowerment, you are receiving a little pouch of blessing pills. The older disciples know about that. So think that in each of these pills is a hung syllable, and when you eat it, swallow it as a whole, and then eat it every morning during the drupchen. And so that's the mind empowerment. So here we are receiving the empowerment of the deity's enlightened body, speech, and mind. And this deity is a fivefold deity that represents the aspects of enlightened body, speech, mind, activities, and qualities. And they all are complete within a single deity, the single deity Yamantaka. And then in order to bring about the benefit of sentient beings, then from one deity, many countless millions of emanations manifest. but they all are complete within one deity, Yamantaka. And then on the outer level, they appear as many different deities. So the inner deity, this one deity, Yamantaka, is like the sun, and the retinue is like the sun rays. And these sun rays, this light, pervades the entire universe, all of samsara and nirvana, your own Buddha nature. It is connected to your own Buddha nature. It is pervaded by these light rays. It is just that we don't recognize that. But actually, that is the nature of samsara and nirvana, being pervaded by light. So that is actually a quality of your own Buddha nature. So that is the meaning that is shown here in these empowerments.
Zogiribato sempre parece, non molto parece, hakorti, lugdabata siva lunzabachong, magdabata dardabachong. Three senator not carrying short of the took the young thing, young thing, hakores. So that's all it are the result of Dalans about Chongu, checking back in on the by or my call.
So then ultimately of the enlightened body, speech and mind, they all actually are a quality of the enlightened mind. And the enlightened mind is that wisdom mind that has realized that there is no duality, all beings are inseparable. And when you recognize that with awareness, then naturally the fixation to outer form and a voice and sound and so forth will all diminish, because you recognize that all these appearances are nothing but the projections of your own mind. So when you realize that, then even though there appears to be a duality in terms of form, bodies, you know that there is just a single mind. And therefore all afflictions are actually the same. And when we speak about purifying the obscurations of the body, they really are purified when the fixation to form, the grasping at form diminishes. And likewise, the obscurations of speech are purified when the fixation, the grasping at sound, at speech diminishes. And then within the mind, you hold on to no thought at all. You let them all go and they can become liberated. So all of that actually is not to grasp it out of form and sound, is actually all a quality of the mind, a quality of wisdom, of awareness. And also that is the meaning of blessings having entered you. When that has happened, then all grasping, fixation to form and sound diminishes. And then, for example, if somebody says something negative to you, it doesn't affect you at all.
이제발라 살랍다 시바 데 도마르톤다 이제 도마스니 냠스니 위다다 냠스니 쪽에 왜 도마 많고요 와래 이 도마리요 이제 나소춘에 용도도 찹 드리 용디던 틀에 탐지 톱송사
So then the Dharma represents the fivefold deity, and we often explain the meaning of the Dharma extensively. So just in brief, the Dharma has four major qualities, and that is the Dharma is the immeasurable palace, the mandala of the deity. Secondly, the Dharma also represents the deity itself. third, the Dharma also is an offering. And fourth, the Dharma is a blessing. And it is through the Dharma in this context here that we are authorized to engage in its practice. So it is a Dharma empowerment. And so then think that from this Dharma, multicolored light radiates and it pervades your entire body. And in this way, think that you have then also received the empowerments of enlightened qualities and activities.
Garchen Rinpoche Chiyongpu Nirosu Rinpoche de Bada Chilako Ya Talo de Bada Tanjilan Jibasa Bada Tawara de Bada Parkuro Sota Talo de Wada de la Leza Talo Jobu Chalenya Dando Bando Savate Tata Benitani Bea Doya Savate de Abeke Zao Hiwango Gosu Jatama Pachata Chibata Wangju ba tswang mo je top lo is do je so je ni je ko de ba la wang sa ha da ye sang se je song de wo je ko de ba ga ba jin de se wo.
Having received this empowerment, the defilements and karmic imprints of your 3 doors are purified and you have received the precious 4th empowerment. You are empowered to practice the mandala of the 3 vajras with body, speech and mind, and you should keep the 4 symbolic samayas of the secret mantra. A fortunate karmic connection with the state of the Svabhavika Kaya is established within you.
Nyumonga de nyumonga ramji shi senjuanga na nyumonga sawa yishiga tenjewa yore mamin bekara nyumonga ri minatini nyumonga shi le ri tabu shankha ta roye mamin ga roar rokte de yore pese sa ko gore no na roar rok chimji samchi ne kap changrom tabe mini uni semji yo mare sa ti ha ko gore.
So in the Vajrayana, in the secret mantra, we speak about all kinds of different samayas, but in essence, the essence of that is, it is said, understand that everything that appears and exists, the entire universe, and all beings are the deity, arise as a deity. So there is the outer 5 elements, and there are the inner sentient beings. And by nature, all sentient beings are Buddhas. They possess Buddha nature. And the nature of their 5 afflictions is actually wisdom. So the outer 5 elements, the inner 5 afflictions, and the secret 5 wisdoms are all connected to each other. When we are in an immature state, there are the 5 afflictive emotions. And when we mature, then they ripen into the 5 wisdoms. And that leads to the manifestation, the appearance of the various pure lands. In an unripe state, there is the appearance of the 6 realms of samsara. So in brief, what we need to understand here is that all the sentient beings in the 6 realms of samsara only temporarily appear that way, like a temporary ice block. But actually, in reality, there are no real sentient beings. So then the next visualization here for the speech empowerment is the visualization is a bit complicated, but just think that from space, from the deities in space, mantra syllables fall down like rain falling down. And when you repeat the mantra, think that you are receiving the root mantra, Makrodeka Yamantaka Hung Pet, which then comes to circle around the Hung syllable. And so think that now you have received the mantra garland that circles around the Hung, which is at the hub of a Vajra. And then surrounding you, outside of you, then circle the protection and the repelling mantras.
Yamantaka Yamantaka Hobei Atoteka Yamantaka Hana Mata Benda Hombei Ekayama Turu Dokte Song Hekayama Turu Dokte Song Rimayama Turu Dokte Song Sawatita Zerta Beli Trignim Bea Doya Samdravarane Zhonghongza Dakja Ponglop Menor Kotang Jepala Raksha Soha On Ekayama Terata Do Hekayama Terata Do Rimayama Terata Do Sarvasita Zertan Beni Trini Bea Doya Nuzi Sema Sa Song Tang Jepi Shala Juk Jilla Maraya Juk Wugla Juk Sola Maraya Juk Khala Juk Zala Maraya Juk Hong Pei Nuzi Sema La Song Tang Jepa Maraya Doya Jumdi de la je dala goma do jumdi de la je dala goma de ma jo go do tan le jang to ju de wan de to ton le to wan de su da ji zang be de ya so za hong ba ho 하지 대롱 제바 송아 송거 왕 예노서 봐 소조원은 저 밥에다 저발에 제동 검사 검질 자랑 한거 살라 송디메 소망라바 로벤강 사동람이 아 사동고메 왕고로 공부 검사 검질도 자가지 다저 딱 sakhinga 티쇼 공시 와데 적당 마삼랑 그 셈나 저때네 남도 간사 지서 만나와지 남도 공식이 18종 공자고래 들이 뒤값들이 특히 막 롱송 거래 생각 왕거들이 왕거 롱용 대검자고 해서 거기.
So here for the mind empowerment, it says that so you rest within a state of non-duality where there is no duality between anyone who is, there is no meditator nor meditation. So this really is an instruction on Mahamudra. And now meditation now means that don't think about anything at all. Look at your mind. When thoughts arise, don't follow those thoughts, but sustain the awareness clearly, the awareness that recognizes these thoughts. Sustain this awareness and meditate in this way. So next, Lama Thupten Nyima is going to bestow the Long, the reading transmission, while Rinpoche will confer the empowerment. And while that happens, please continue to meditate.
칼라자 소주도 랑게 랑게 이사리 양 송왕한테 똑바로 버려 소마랑 남다마 그베 시사르 동전 다 주미 대화 좀 취이는 진짜 만만 또 먹어라 중대전 양반 정방고 대반의 특여왕예노 제다세 자가 상태는 니도 송와 그래서 산지 로고 말이지 로나시라 고가 말이지 또 검제야 자랑지 담책 기바데 담책 대박이란다고 요래 또들은 내 바꿔서 보쌈서 상축 셈에 달라는 소리만 됐다 왜 삭바들 두키다고 가데 그 도지분 나니들이 또 콘솔을 잡버려 콘솔 차도니가 그래서 상축 셈이 그 기부대 시당리 드리테베 데르스 바꿔면 타고 요래 드리테베나 도지분을 출발하는 이 빠지 봤음 바이서 드리 담책도 있겠다 이노 이게 방지 피지를 듣고서 루치들이 저 샘지 탐지가 동안들이나 루치는 쇼요사 그 사과의 jakab 소설 별비서지 jakab 팀망 용조 그 동안들이 나요 jakab 팀망 답제들이 샘용 뭐시야 그 삼지 상축 샘패고 상제도 건 그래서 또 왕거기
Rinpoche just read these words here in the empowerment text, but there is also much to it in terms of Samaya and so on, which also is hard to understand. But in brief, what we call this Samaya now here that we are supposed to keep, mainly, now when we speak about body, speech, and mind and so forth, comes really mainly down to bodhicitta. And especially now, when we are practicing in this great accomplishment retreat, this Drupchen, that is especially a time where we have to be extremely careful when it comes to the afflictions of anger and jealousy towards our Vajra siblings. Actually, especially anger is really the greatest hindrance, the greatest obstacle to us cultivating bodhicitta. So it is most important, therefore, that when that arises, that you meditate and that you are able to cultivate, practice patience, and that is actually also one of the 14 tantric root downfalls, to not get angry at our Vajra siblings. So that is really what's most important. And just think that I am here to practice in this retreat in order to benefit others. I must benefit others, help others. I must give up all harm towards others. I've come here to engage in this practice in order to benefit all sentient beings. And especially if you have come from different countries, think that I represent this particular country, all the people of my country, and through my practice here in the retreat, think that the afflictive emotions of all the people in my country will calm down and their bodhicitta will increase. So think in this way when you practice throughout the Drupchen. So now Rinpoche will confer the empowerment.
Chan Chok Sem Jo Rinpoche Ma Ji Pa Na Ji Jer Jek Ji Ba Nyam Ba Mi Ba Yang Gong Le Gong De Pe Wa Yu
Yando meye pedi dasang ji je kata tumungu ji pusundu tuba yoso namo ma mulangora ma ji shire yami dagaran de dujawa la yerin joyan tata sanje me baraka we nyono je jarpo ma gomba konda seba kinde san san zunyan jamba yang tokan de se troje kinje ki dunje doje no wada jende garo doje jamba kinje de kinda ga ba kinje ba ka ga ba dan tala no ba zula ba ga lo pon pe man jong ba su dara sanje ye yo Basedara Sanjay yo. Terdon Yan Ron La Jena Jodan Zodon Jero Den Kodan Pai De Zero Jesan Goboda Nagon Zen Dan Zodon Zen Zen Dan Zan Waran Zen Yana Yan Joro Jaba Manga De Dan Jero Babin Kama Bata Tunda Jija Din No Bodin Gajiba Kan Zen Me Jar Jja La Be Me Jam Zen Dan Kan Zome Damado Zera La Pade Sa Jawan Jidun Jidun De Jida Ran Wen Jidun Mai Yedan Ga Jia La Da Ka Den San De Kin La Ma De Ro Mo Jun Jun Ya Jan Ne Gon De Zo La Ba Zo Jaba Ka Za Amala Ge Be Zon De Da La Do Je Se Wan Go Zen Ba Men Ron Do Je Ne Gan Tra La Na Yon De Ban Da Dong Jaba Ge Zma Gong Peng Jo La Ne Bo Si Lo Jia Ge Ne Da La Ma Da Na Jing Jo Da Ne Re Zong Lo Zang Ga Je Me Ba Nian Je La Ma La Por Din La Ma Ga Dam Zhe La Ne Xiao Yang Do Me Be De Song Do De Be Ngan Do Nang Zhu Su Go Ba Ne Ya Ma Re Yang Do Me Be De Nian De Song Do Se Ne Wang Go Ra Ne Jin Seng Lo Go Song Do Na Da King An Dong Su Ba Dam Je Je To Ma Xin Ma Ju Je Le Dang Bu Song Jia Sun Ne Zo Bu Zhen Je Dong Da Zong Jiao Na Da Je Yun Je Je Da Lin Ba Ye Xin Ne Dun Se 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 Da Gang Ge Song Na Nye Sa Ba Zo Bu San Je Da Ngon Zhuo Gong La Bi Se Ba Din Kin Jin Ta Zhe Xiao Ye Da Ma Re Je Le Lo Te Ji Xin Je Ji Je Je Ba Zhe Zhou Dong Le Jia Je Ba Song Wei Ji Yin Yin Je Na Zhen Ma Re Je Le Lo Do Jin De Je Dong Ba Bo Men Gu Men Gu Wei Zhong Zhen Xin De Wa Le Da Ba De De Jia Chun Da Men De Ba Ni Ra Ge Da Ban Yin Le Chung Yin Mi De Yin De Do Nyang Ba Ni De Da Yin Ye Me Be Du San Yin Je Yang Me Me Mi Ra Yin Yong Ra Yi Da Ben Zhi Ni Gong Ju Ba Na Ga La Ba Ya Ma Ra Dong Bo So Ba Yu Da So Da Ma So Ba Yu Dong Ben An Le Zhong Le Tu Bu Nu So So Ong A Hong Yu Le Do Jin Chun Xiao Zhe Me De Ba Na Da Zhe Jia Zhe Ro Ma Da Yi Do Ba Me Ba Na Fa De Nya Ba Jiao Ba Za Ga Ho So Ne Xiao Da Wo Ga La Ba Ya Ma Ra Dong Bo Mo So Ba Yu Da So Da Ma So Ba Yu Da Dong Ben An Le Zhong Le Bin Da Jiao Le Ji Ba Dong Sum Da Nya Ba Na Dong Ko Lo Zhe Yu Ba Zhe De Wa Zhe Ya Be Ma Din Re So De Wa Zhe Jin Mo Long Ko Lo Ba Om Jia Zhe Ya De Hong Sam Sa Na Hong Le Do Jin Mo Zhe Ngo Lo Ma So So Le Mo Ji So Ji Ba Nab De So Le Be Ma Ro Da Le Be Ma Mo Wen Da Ma Ji Ba Song De Zhe Jiu Ha Le Do Ji Jia Ren Jia Ge Na Ji Ba Sang Ji Na Ba Yu Da Ba Zhe Na Xiu Ba De De Ren A Yu De Do Hong Le Da Ba De A Le Ma Jia Yu Le Om Le Dong Sa Jun Du Zhe Me Ji Se La Sa Ong Ao Sa Be Da Ba Da Hong Re Da Yi Song Da Hong Ga La De Ba So Ya Om So Ba So Jia Dong Ben An Le Zhong Le Bin Da Lo Jiang Lo Ji Ba Do Zong Nyam Nang De Da Ma Wang Ge Din Den De Ba Ma De Wa O Ni Won Jie Re Wu Se Rai Mo Om Ba Wa Ma La Ra De Jiang De Yuan Ni Mo Jia Jun De Pe Dam Zhe Jin Bo Sin Ji Lo Ma Ren Zo Le Mi Ra Hong Re Da Sun Da De Zhen Ju Ngo Zhe Long Wan Ne Hong De Jia Dam Zhe Le Do Ji Dam Zhe Zong Gong Yang Na Ko Zong Do Dong Yong So De Dang Ga Da Ga Wa Ga Zi Da Zi Da Se De Wang Xin De Zin Jie De Zhe Lang La Do Ma Zheng Jie Do De Nyang Wo Do Ma Om Be De Be De Ma Le De Ma Yu Zhe Ra Do Ji Do No Ga Ba Yang Ke Jia Jiao Ma Zhen De De Mo Xia De Ma Ro Zong Ma De Zang Zo Le Mi Ra Lun Du Jia Da Ge Do Ma Jia Do Da Jiao Ma Ge Ne De Zo Le Mi Ra Long Xie Dang Zhi Be Do Ma Da Ba Da Zhou Ba Jiao Do Ta Nian Gang Go Hu Jie Lu La Lin So Go Jie Wong Ga Ba La Ba Si Da Ra Le Zhong Zhong De An Yo Ru Le Hong Zhong Ba Lin De Min Da Long Dam Nian Da Ge Zhou Le Song Do Mong Go Ro Yin Da Ba Da Yin Me So Na Ba Xia Da Re Ba Ra Yin Jia Ba Xin Ji Xi Ji Gong Dong Ba Ji O Ma Hong Sum Da Ya Re Shen Ren Zang Zang O Ma Ba Lin Dian Zhong Ba Lin Da Ba Lin Ba Dang Ge Se Ma Ya Hong Shi Zha Sun Jiu San Jie Di Ba Xin Ba Zhou Da Da Dang Song Zhe Ba Ji Zhou Yang Ba Xin Ji Ki Song Song Ba Zhao Om So Ba Qiu De Zhou Da Ma So Ba Qiu Dang Qu Tam Jie Rang Yi Long Da Me Ba Jiang Dar Ma Da Da Yi Gong La Jia Bei Ning Jie Jing Bo Zi Da Hong Ra Sen Jun Jing Gang Le Re Gu Ngo Han De Na De La Wo Zhen Zhi Ram Yang Gang Xin Zi Tam Ji Se Do Jiang Zhi Ba Se Hong Le E Jian Nong Guo Ji Yam Le Long Do Ji Jia Ran Liao Ran Le Me Jing Guo Ban Le Jiu Jing Guo Lan Se Ji Se Zhong Le Xiu Ding Ga Bo Se Ga Dong Kan Dong Wo De Se Jia Da Ga De Later, Bango, Doji Palana, Basanju, Jimmy Judin, then the Paras were a Paragaba Pavadre, Call Donya, those Sojan Batos came by job, another Holy Doji Jaravin Rameno, Doji to the children, Guananga, Jojin by you, and the Pedania Metin. Here, the thing about the Kundan Rote, home television to pay Yamatra Panshi, Hinja Pumi, the Mahi Langopon, the Lab, the Mania, the Joy home, the Loza Kadong, Jeden Hollows and Truth, and the Yonsibal Namja, the home and thing, and the Loz and Romanjos and those and the Yons. Oh, my daughter, Yamaka home bear and Ninja, but can you get on my girls? I get a Yago, Yamale, we can tell them about your mouth and jeans and so that the Yango, don't arrange Jimotonian, also the Yango, Chewa get about a light out of Mema, the Maramazan, Joba, what Dankas, I get the side of Colu, you know, of the Papera, the Tamil bed, Joba, doing something to the member going. Cardi came back to Gang and Volajiman Tandoran and Zimbati, you the kids are John about talking, Lord in Jordan, the Jin, and Judge Rat, and Gam Najin, knows the Bakala Judge, them to organize his own go, the sort of Hotel Cabinet member, the 15th of Judging the war, but before them, you know. Chuna make your watching Dodgy thing about the Malametan to Pararan, you get a taking good about the long trans about the Sarakaji, but good landing in Colosso, Gungalking by and you commit about Hansa during our Scott, were dodging such as others who come out each other. Young Greek others were not a Sarakaji, but Tajian so many of the goods, what are they telling the George by your sorry to come down your college college in the San Japaco around, maybe and Trip Meron, maybe Southern Rona, your body to Cassian Colossi, but and Jumbo, Zumology, Judges, on you, upon the young debs in your valley. Damani take a case of Japan, Hero is important, but Chapter Jimon, Tatanoji, Kings and Landa, Rabosona, Yana, and so on, over Gonjama, Yara, Doji, Yabam. Cola to Roji, Jim by Yanni, Jango, Bedin, like over of the Tree, but we got the Session and double end, but John, Colu, Bema, Daniel, Ramojina, Judan was a god, no, the Pemana, Pemania, and the home, and the Sergio Doji, and Yajaranga, and Yanga Majara. They were the control to Benita, Georgian drink, they were haunting about it. They the Ega Yamadra to go home, Galagon, Lama Lobongo Barangi, on the maid of Nalago, Georgian Cornell, and just our round to those of the one was a manager and represent you, Mono, the Jeba, you the Jebal, and the Yosibal, Mamma, Mamma, like a sign of Jim, making you ba, Saya Jan was when you better to go and make him to Tazo Deba. Zeke can that in common, so I go around to be married, you took on your Monagan, Yamada, the Gua, Yang, Jadon was a manager to Brazil, Yama, as you say, Yamada, Domanaga, signed by Yakin, Mamma was a young Betzela Mazar, and by Yankee Mazar, also. Yamni Salad, but about the Kanda, and called the Jane, you go on the Jebal, and to be the Bona, the Yobotoga Yamanagan, and my mother, so doing the Koit of Jadana Bokon, and I get this on your year better, upside better than the Bagolam Jaja, Kondo, you Kagalikan Boka, you can talk about Kanda, the Banga, what Yakin, Jonga, Juice, Dodgy, and Lord, the Bagan, Lord, Cholang Bola Joan, go to Koit was I go to the Zone, was so that Nabokonomakasan, to Benaja, Donagra, Georgia, by a Pepe, and Yabakabano, Color, Bano, can you know that? Legend on my dolly, and goes on to us, I quote any to Yamanakan, so what does it have been in a bed or your lion to go home around to on Jolis on to my own, the Canada, just so go to the joke, go to the answer of the Donald Caucasus, and not taste of the home, so I'm the literature to about the young, what the young Golons, so I'm the taste of the homes, or to work up on Colocabo and Colocabo along so time without you. There's a drums or in a bed, you bear toes of an also without an also go along so time without you. There's a shess or in a bed, you bear to my one and son of a mamma with Mamma Bugo along so time without you. This or the answer in a page between young not to the one not to you go along so time without this or to take them in like you be writing. I'm calling you to try to call it. No, they can't yell at the go along so time without this or the young so on material. Long answer Canada talk on a land, so you know to be kind about this or the Ramsor and Ramsor made a hip and Mebombo Canada to man and Mebon to be kind about this or the Pamdinamenda, you with your ballon you go on to talk about you to be kind. This or the Lamdinamenda, yes, Sergio Jaran Cogana Tross up to be kind about this or a man like Nagaja Gogana Trom now on to the Chata. That is I can take out Tojo Sunjana to Naga Dodger long put it him about children Sunjana and Colombo Subata by King Troubles at the Japan to bed, away them Italian, but most one than you know the ring is love what it is or the wrong other guns run without and you switch with only around the book on the Sour Joe, some Jet Young Hong and Remember and when you go to Young Zimalos and Tribe. Diane and Jabakin here is some good Zamanza, Yan Dog, Yon Laton, Lobata Mujenda, and the Kajan goes to Basa. Home Tibatan then again, Jabaki, Question on Omicin, Burana, to the Mojan, and Pojava, that is in the your mother, in your Yamaka, Koranjana, which is also Namakas, and Jim, also gets us on Madaki Yamaka Yamaza, Mamo, got some before have you received long, then don't need to stay. You can go around outside. Hoàng trần đã chú trọng bảo vệ gia sẽ kinh nghiệm mai nhà đã bên đến đó đó cái có gì nào chẳng có cái gì nhiều chẳng có gì mà những thứ kiểu sao mà đi ra lên Hoàng đã có mal thọ lo giúp đỡ cho cái cái sao mà chỉ muốn làm mà xem cho nhà mà rằng có thể nhớ là sinh lòng chỉ đã nó có lo số nó có lo số lòng có gì cái lo ở đó đó cho voi ya ban chưa ban nó không bảo vệ cho cho cái cái đó ya sẽ có ba yang đó cho lòng cho ban mà nó được mà cái cái Senye la sunje ban bolo kisu so, tuzu menje jo ban bolo kisu so, damje to menche ban bolo kisu so, radam do jatang jo ban bolo kisu so, jorana jo ban bolo kisu so, agan pati pipi di balo kengene ne de kyadang so wa. Ram yang ka ngopo no sudoro, onwa hong som jo da kuji karade tuji yam jo jo, sawa pinja ma da karanga, ma bole da karanga, ma ru da karanga, ma ma sa karanga, ma kene da karanga, ma kor zanga, ma batsa ka, ma batsa da la ka, ma batsa da, ma da 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 we sha, nga pa toi pa na e jo ka jo me bale da de da ba ka rangi ni me so ma da so ba so de da gun da yun de do gun don zen da so ko so da yun de da. Sem ji don ze cho ja kin je he ya yang se ko je lo sam sa do to ba xiao ban da ge de to ma me den je na da lun de la ba yin je de le je de je ba ngen de je nga ge zhen no ma de jo yi je lo na lo ba sam so de do ma ge Trump la zona lo zo ba so yi la zo ba ma de ko do ba la zin zhe ba na me jo do zo ne lo ban zhen nong zhe jiang jiang ji na zo ba yi lo zo nong jo da la zo ba ko zo de zhen yi jian da de ba men jo ban zhe de so a le ge le da ya ma zi ja yo don za wang ba wa ye jian dang ge gang lai kim zo na wu ji zhe de gong bu gong gan la dang zhe ba la ten bei ni zhen me ba jie de jie zhen de kun yin ji do ba yin tu ji la ba yin se de ran ni mo zo mo to da din ba jo nam da din ba na da sang de be din da le ji jie ba Hongan jama kinji ki na zin ko de ngol so so yin ngol ne ko so ngai ra ye la de ngol so je na jo me ba da je na ga ba me de ki so da ra de zin je ze da yang ju de ni le chen de na de sa ma ja don don zo da nya ji da ju de ni je le so ba ju ni je wa me be kinji sa ra ye mo mo ga ba me je ki sa da jin do wan do ki je jo ra sa na jama kinji ki ko so na yin ne yen do ju da de jin ga ja de ba na da sang de be le Tinda level dumba da demba na nam jo ma ji do ju nga ji ga ni ma ran ro jo zo ran le zo ja kin ji ge wo da sa yin ga ji sa ji ma ye ne zo hi dan ju de ni ji le to kyo tam ba nga ne du sam jo ga san ji ko ngo du zo nga du su ya jo ma de ma nya jo nga du da da ne da da ngo jo la nga ra ru song go nga su ngo bo jo tam ji ge le ji ga jo da nga ga san ji jo do ja do da nga ga nga ra kun jo sa hi nga ja ne ba sa bo nga ja je ba do na hin je ge Kia ju jianbo che zhou dong le we jie jia gong ni bar song ba ne. Tu sum san jie dan jie jiang chou jia kin ji ke bo na nga ne san jie tam ji jie xin de tu la ne nga ne tu sung bo la nga ne de ge gun ji do nga chou jia gong jie nga ni mo du de ba nga tu sung de nam bar zi lo so ba ye san jie gong nga zong de lu me ka ba la me do de so ra nga de de kin ki ban do ngo lo ne jue yi sa nga du da da ne tu su de nga de da da ja ba ye de nga ne tu si jiang jiang san ba lo so me ba ye ba du me ka ba la yu ne yong sa 산제 군자랑이 더 군도 보양 기도 되도 산제 군이 더 이군이 라서 와도 가라 본도서 그 도자 hin제 기본도 되는 예빈이 말아서 하는 데도 되는 거 봐도 저랑 랑라도 돼서 봐서도 홀로라 왕거 도바 공바사 hin가 전에 봐서 된 반잡다 와네 당생생 라서 라도 탐지도 가는 와서 나도 보다서 이제 보냐 저 봐야도 손 조종 조 봐다면 반도랑 예수가 돼서 정원네 나 라진데 제 담제 군도 또 나와 마냐 와냐데 더 진지 거라 그 조바 저랑 그 여도서 라서 오서도 가진 공네 요바데 이기 조 남제 이게 진생네 노제 타와들라 최종원 조는 나홍가나 바세나라기 순전한 똑같은 배다나 전단 부좀 줘봐줘요. 안 도가는 것은 줄라마에다 산제 산조 좀 봐봐. 주장 보조 모조는 예선 라마신데 제주 손이 라마는 세다 손한 요한가 주담지랑 하면 보고는 예수다 여담에 단단 도도 좀 봐줘. 애가 야만 들어서 해가 야만 들어서 마만 들어서 저저저 되면은 나 선도는 너 혼자 다 잡으면 거다 잡으러 저서 와시베 랑 라서 세람 내가 저서 여거도 봐줘 송갑사 라조 담제 장 나도 전에 송아들 다긴 송어 거는 송안 로동 투지 도와다 로비스 바좀 저진 도동 송나 인제 세them 세베 인제 세베 세them 랭아 보동 던지 라마신데 전 초든 로 송게 줘봐줘 송도 도모도 저서 섬다 된 섬선 데바다 상데 베딘달레 제반데사 거즈말게 제마다 송나 말도 제모도 다나나 좀 하서 소말아 진이 로비제 투순 다다 거zo 토조도 란도도 히지모가 고다 이메 도자긴제 송데 노도 좀 열는데 오메가 만들어다 송소 히 사바메네 나가니 바데 좀 탐제를 와대다 대베트랑 나데바다 냠도 조샤좀 특근냐 쳇된 거냐 말 염세 저반이들랑 코는도 송고강 라탐제 레신 든도 고말라 소바던 도나 라탐제 잔능한도 동도다 데레다예 레간바도 토바메바 도바서게 송고 강던 추딘 라소바 남네 정학 기단 중앙 예란다 또 도바르선네 다원에 삽치 치치 yin la me be che jen so ma nya wa nya so la ye da nan kar zin bu ju ba do go ju ba do chun ju ba do ni ma xia wa da zhe sin ba da da ju ba da da sa wa dong bo yu le jia wa do zui ba gong le jia wa do qiu le zhen jie ba nian ba sin ba la so ba mang yi ba na zhong jiong wei ran ri niang dan dui ne da ba ga jiao sa ma ya do be me ba jian jiang ba gong do ma na ye ra zhe de yun do ji xiao ban pin ba go la do zhe jie jie Yam ni jang ga be de la yorap de zhe yin qian ba xia se zhen do be len ba la zuo dan jia xie de zhen do be len zhe ba zhe ran ge do ga ba be ba na chuo zhong mong zhong jia na zuo na ba ga dan zhe ge lo de ji ba nan jian se ma la song ji ba na pa zuo jian ta wa ben ben de ye me se lang se chu xia se ni be le se la ma do jian zuo zuo nam jiang zhong jian go le do jian se chen ye ma le se me de na ba ran xi ran la wa be le se bo jiu se ma go nam jia jian go le zhe jie me chu me ba ye ge jiang yong ge me ba jiu ong ga ya ma do zhe do ga ma do zhe do na ma ma do zhe do sa ba zhe de zhe me ne de ne be do ne se ma lo ji ba xiao jiu ni la ma ya jiu wo jiu so ma jiu zhe ta jiu za ma jiu hong pe nu zhe se ma lo ji ba ma ra ya do ya qi ben ha rang sa la sa ba se me ha jiu yong go de yo ba jiu lo zo dam ji xia se zhe ne dong an zhu dong de de song yi ma do bu len zhe ba jiu do se ni de jiu tun da ran xin jie sa sa ye da wa de yong ni mo zo ba de da ge se ma lo dong ba jie ba ta mo da be xia zha ma jia jia da wa xin jie lo zhe hao top jiu su ba jiu na mo lo san zhou san jiu san zhou qu le san zhou gen de san Jom den jam sa ja sen no ji la zong ko de ji bon lo san zhou jie na san zhou to dan ne be de da ja bon ko de ji bon dan wa dan wa xin de bo de bo xin de ba da ge de da ge xin de lo be lo ja ba ga da wa me ga ja ma ga tu zhe ga ni su ni de nge ba zhe ji ma lang ba se ga ba ga bo dong nge mo de so ring ba de se ma ko rang de se do ba de jing ba de je ra de hyo je je hi ta de ji me ba de je be ta mo lin su mam de re da wo ngo jo na e kam ne zhen 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 na mo de jian zao de ji ba ji ba ba de la ma de ba ne ga de ba san je ga de ba ju ji ga de ba ge ga de ba sang ga de ga de zong ga de ni mo de sa je ding zhen ga de ba ye dam jia wa ji ro da ba ju jiong song chou chou bu zhe ba yang zhe le de da de ji ba ne ji ga de ba de jia ba de ba xin je ge sa jia tam ji se ji mo zhe da bo ji mo zhuo de yo yin jin ro yi shen jiao ya ma de ge ren jiao da song zhou so da ban ka de sa jiu de da ko zuo xin ji ma ma de ji jie da dam jin jiao zhuo bu zuo ji ba de ga de ba dan han jiang sen na sang ha sen na ge zong ma dam jin jiao zuo ji ba ne ga de ba de ba jian bo de yin de da ne be sen yi lo ba de jie san jie de mo ge jiao ba de la mo ge de jie da jiang zhe jie jie da yun jiao yun jie jin da sen jiao ne se wa se ba nam ji ba da jiang na yun jiao ko dang jie ba no do do se pun zu bo se han de la ge da do so da xie le什么da da dang la ran wo da看我们讲da wo ning怎么了da wo的讲呢对都是da呢都是da是呢就都是da就三年同你这个da我跟中是da跟我是da老高是da每一个都是人家da把你们说你参见那不个当三九的对别大你们da给都把这个da错错了这嘛就是杀了杀等杀了谁把那干的叫人问我谁这的把人那个说把那了有这个了都给这让没把咱这就都完了过去yan do me be de da bu do ma sa la da do ng do so je yo so dong ji zhen be man jo ne ze be dong sin la ha ja ne la bu so mo no de ni zhen ng lan zo mo ko on be de de ba la da ba yo da da do do no ga ba la yang xian jia ji ba yo la ni ko zhen zo men qi wan da se on be on ma ne de zo me da mo xia da mo do je da mo ju be da de on ma ne zo me do ja yang lo ma jang zo so de zo on ma ge ne de zo lo ye da ne bu do ma da me de chuo wa jo do ji da mo ni ga ju ben go do ye ji人生各地就是老本做么人听你当一个这什么呢？我的人了，搞不了把这都中中的，就是了红巴来的嘛的，大年那个的从东欧来，那么的没说，那么晓得这个人家没跟你给就那么就哇风所以是要人人一个也没得了，一个也没得了。咱们讲我是多么米了，这个晓得都是讲做全部就一个也没得了，这里从一个也没得了，这里从这嘛也没得了，这里从这边的这边的。no se se ma lo so and my mother is the malaka kai kai so the malaka kai kai or the so mara the mother no de no do so mara the malaka kai kai or do the yama the yama color pa mai or aban on the Ora la la me der yam da ya sa ya da da ya hala yam ka na but da na na yamara yamara be da lo do mo me ga da mala ga ga ya do ma me ra da ga ka da du yam ju ka da sa jo ja ya kin ji da ya ma mo ta me sen jo yamara da ko ja so do so da na ba ko ge ma la de ni de ba so ya ba na ka da mala ka ya ja ma zo la do do jen la je ki do ba na sa ke jen de ge mo ba de ge bo de lang go ji ma ba ge so jo ra ga do ge mo jo ji da chen da jo ni ka kin ji so ni sa me kin ji bo bo da nya ni ge ba go a gen ko to da ji zo ji ba na ka da ga ye so do so tam je de ba ya ne hi je ngale ma ja ra ji sa sa go ya sa ga je go ba jin zo kon ben de bi ma ma ja la ba ma de de gi de bo de ya ga ga ye do ma ya la ni me jo ma ma na je ga je mo zo je go ma de do ni me go Tarun do zo kin daga do to bika da nyama ro do jaga sa yer bala nta na wayi ro da da ba ra kan do jala da kan do so to so do mana do ba ma da da ba ga ba da do ngi do la ra de le jala ma yo ya sa ba ko to dam da me ngal sa da do kin jo jo ba to da kan jo do do ko me na be da ra ya po do ja so na ko ba de sa jon de ra do da kin do do yo da ji ba do ma de la na je de bo la ma so ki jo ba le de ba da ne do ba ji ke la do se ba jo do ba le je me ko so wan de te no sa na da ko do lo hi da ke pa ko hin je se dan ko je ka se de ren zen ki mo nam ja me bo jin se ba wo so de yene sanje de ma son konjo jom do gele de yon da ja bolon ko de ba nan ni la isu so yo ba ne le ba de de ki wa se do na ba de de ba da ba yi ka so se ro po ma de wa de ba da ja bolon no ba da ta ju ba tele do ba me ba da ni do ba ze do so ye do po de so yene sanje de ma son konjo ma do gele de da ja bolon ko de ba no jin se wa se ka por kan to tek sa ju tin da de mo da ma lan sing lo da kya di pa me za ka ji ka reng ma che la ba ju ba la so ba do na ma de so reng ma de se ma da ge den jo do jo tele ni wa ni de ba ze do so so do twen mo de ji ba kya dong de ba da so tele mo de ne ka dan ta dong ge jin so tu ja da se la dan je ju su ngo mo ko de se ba ko ma da ma sen ji don dam je ju don do ban ze do so ya ma ren hin do la jo so ju twen da hong da ge do ba do ju so de ba ko dan ji ba ye ga da de jo de ya ba zo la le da ba ja da ba da ra ge sa yin ba na ko ran la do ba da do ja za me ban zo hong de ni ba do zen ji do ma ga ro ye do bo so na do ba da do ji da ba je do om ba da ma do la ma ra ja jo hong be so ba nga ri pin jin da cha po de dong je hin jin na bu some这个来上来送我都说他们那怎么呢？来他们就不经济给，对那到大家觉得的所以说样样的嘛，一个都经济说中间国家经济把这个就说了是那讲一个上面个人我说的嘛，然后这个对的这说搞把那没办法呢，他们就觉得后来就会对大家看到也他是呢，你把上就叫他们呢这吃了过个那个就讲，即使说给们的经济给，我都这就的经济给，把这说给们的经济给，那个到就们的经济，各种都就我都知道都说也工作人员在把经济家庭的生活我这个经出来就，他们家这帮人。我比较对你们的，咱们两个这边这人在那经过这呀，在家把经济给都从哪把去了，都那个了这来，来就对吧？把这那我觉得咱家要多的，咱那个这做大家都把来觉得，那咱把就咱搞了进出来，这讲这学给咱老板这边，你都干这些包呢？现在咱们做做件马上把那菜就学，家个就老板都有下件在把它下马去就找不现在嘛那个他们个接触呢，说啊，我他定把马路你把就把。남카 메퍼잖아 야 가진 거좀 해보세요. 라단다선 게 베랑 할로 무슨 또 저러 이거 봐요. 성아 줘라 너무 좋아만 저거 이 지킹이 빠지버서 나다 남아군들 레송에 개완데 생지말로 봐 봐 이게 도진 지지 해줘 또 봐선 벌써 파원야마 주발에 송에 긴지기 보다는 더 요한데 더 감사한 로건제 줄에 보대로 건전에 긴지기 좀 내려도 달래나가도 저 인지 요 간절함에 좀 이게 고송 도제 용된 사회 반도 건지 줄라라 요는 거는 배우다 해 효도라네 에 주제 이제 보라 तापना किंजे माये नेदा बेमेदे जुनी जिगे बोना तलाका सरो का दो जाय गले ये का गले के बेलम सो युगा मले उ क्यान तेलंगा बे सा दा दों सा तो बड के सा युं तांग बे खोल दो के दो बा बे रा दे दो के सो दा तमे दो जे दो के दो सा दा बे जे दो के नो बा बे के दो के तमे दें जे दो के ना ल या ये को युं जा दो के दु का दो तो लोंग छवा ये बो जिन को जे दो या जे बा ला जिन खिन दो बा को जा रे दा से मा रे जे रे दो बे ren zo deng ke ja ra da ke do का बेन में बोने जो बात जिंदे क्या नहीं क्या जा रिंच और जो दाई तो नहीं जो जो ना में जो बात रात जो नम जो लिनी सदा मल पापे चंग तो जो ला जिंदे जे पोन्या डाले में पा गाय देनी दादा लो जान किंजे तो ना तो खोजी किंजे से हो से बा ई का तो मा दे लो से मा ला जो रा या ना बो हो तो जा जिन में यो सो ना ने यो सो दिन जी या मामा ta में कोन तो मामा का जे समय जे वे जिन में से जिन तो ने जे का dan जन जे के दा दे सा ये जो जो दा का में यो बे न्याम बो तो दा का ले जम ने तो दा रा दे तो के ना इन जो मामू यो जो का जे तो दा दा ba ko je ma me mo to don jo ba ra ka da to ma de ke la se mo da ka la son da ka la bo ye na se jo ya ma ro don ko do mo na ka je sa ni ba da je je ya je se ya ni sa ram ji ke ro ya ni jang ko yo ma ba ya yo to ba ko lo so sa yen de da ke ma le 사 용답게 남제 돈인데 수지 야마르스 손으로 번 코제를 그 이제 달 좀 말해 가다도 만데 gel라 세마라서라 이런 데는 거든 좀 나는 검도 되나가 제산이 예배를 용배다나 남자 견도 뭐 다가 도가 ወ진 신종 저 제진진 저런 거 거든 저는 것도 들어 본 저다 교사 말은 가다도 만데 gel라 세마라서라 이런 라포 전화 손도서다 너보다 건도만나 혀제산이 봐 도변아 저나라 봐 예배 좀 용배 교반을 걸어 봐나 봐 감님도 달래 절로마 이거 손도서다 너보다 들어 봐 소다 세워서 좀 봐. 가다도 만데 gel라 세마라서라 랑기랑 이양 조자지 뭐 지난 저 조한다나 도제로 보고 너무 봐야 뭐지 벌써 보고 요즘 너무 진도 뭐 바제스 번 치는 거 있다 너 담세 진라 봐 당워 다다너 벌써 그 벌콜로 소도 원도 들어도 달로 조건 절려도 저 반조 다건에 에 주전이 보라나 다보 에 야나 라마니 살라딘 돈제 소전이 저 버든 좀 됐으면 Kumtan Tina Yosara Yagalagaba, Guguna, Yamalaki, and Dandan, Uyan, Choton, Coachin, Lara, Jin, the Jolly Chechen, and Sina Bezin, to get hold of Papa and the Cabin, you and Banbanda. You don't to Jin better than that, and to Jojin Bauka, Omichi, Boran, Lord, and you can do Daniel Zinto Popos in your Lord, you go in your long, not to songs. Hila Ramson took us in your boy, and then the Mason was in your land on the now years in Bob, when you want to know Jum in this in Chisholm. Touching the doors, and no Jum didn't go to Joss, and no Jum did that legend of Jibon to Dag Zedek children, to the $20 in your Lord, to win him to Sudati. Danela Miss and Jubala, Pada Jubito, the good to the is do the London is in Jina, to Lapa, Jono, Pajason, Kodajiba. Rama may want to dinner to you done in to something, no, but we should do so young to shoot him and go to the number Jimmy to Jim. Dum Jodak Sambeton, some do Sanjolo Party, me put in the drop, Carton, home to some number of London, you can mind it up and that. Atila Jabora can you join Joma Motama, don't you? I can't do the Jama to your to your dog and merit. To so he take the so young joke and do Mamma go to General Labioso, Jambergo, you to the moon in a Kagala Singelo, to then you go to the dog door, Balanca Tomatigilo, charging young double to stay up a double land to the Madanting of the double land to Chicago, to mean Chow double land to the Sema Las around here on La Pose or Conan Joe, just some bit in the Nanga was a lot of Hughes again, Tata. New Zealand talkers also to just to hear Molly Kedam, Bombo, what the Tomo Mavanta, the Monsun Beyond talking, Keperkin, Mabonta, Kinja, Potos on the Pama, Kinja, Dekba Tanyam Dala, the Dakam Dawa, Dodo, Joe and Talendo, Panzo, Jesus, one Tar, Rangatogano wasn't to be Sungona, Ramjatani, do Susan and Po, Tenant Hola, whom Tilla. They are Ranga make Dambola temperature de la Gigek that Renzin and then Renzin, you know, keeping on the same Tusen. 这本他当然是刚下做米，这样的今年两百家，得了当我这把我就不出去当我演咯，那样让人家把现在去下这3年不够啥玩意就本来就让人就过，天上去就。我是东团长就我是东把你养大把的呢，一兰这我是少家进步了，有人都搞不少完，我是这样就把它，得了3年不个就嘛，大概没进那完个当完得了拍剧今年今年不去，他们就我是就把它得了，那个就嘛大概当前等于他们就嘛了讲年的些呢，拍剧就节奏就那他们就得了嘛，对吧？没别搞话他们把那进行不做节。ne sabjen ja che to kawa yino yang do mei bu zheng an dun de lang hong qian qin bu so me dok jiang jie ren la guo dong jia xin yi xi guo dong jia xin yin cui xi bu ji den zhong bang an jian ju ji da bei da ba yino do se ji da yong ne xie ba dan yong sarva manga lo. Okay, take a break. After dinner, I think. Dinner is 5 o'clock, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, take 1 hour break. The dinner is will be 5. After dinner, then we will start session. Okay. 3 part of Dharma offering. Yeah, 他真多不thiếu。